All right, so it's 6:30. Call the meeting to order. I'd just like to say, as far as the procedure goes, we need everybody who is going to come up and present their project to please come up to the podium and speak into the microphone so that DCTV can catch all of it. And, yeah, so we're just going to review and approve the minutes of the past two meetings. There was a public hearing and our regularly scheduled meeting. Yes,
I'll approve them, but I'll make some comment too.
okay.
Well done. They're very thorough, so thank you for doing that. Just some Scribner's errors that we want to kind of clean up. Doesn't change them materially, but just for the record, I think in a couple instances when it was a public hearing, it was written public meeting. And it's Historical Commission with an AL, and not Historic Commission. And it's preferably, not preferentially preserved. And then one near and dear to my heart, it was called a creative landscape, but it's a cultural landscape. And if you just, I think you did a brilliant job. I'm not being critical, I'm being constructive. And I think it's good to, if you give yourself some credit on these and say you're the recording secretary. So maybe going forward, we always, whoever does that, has that role, we record them as the recording secretary. And aside from that, I read them, they're accurate, they're great, and I would make a motion to approve them.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great, thank you. And thank you, and thanks to you both for taking over while I was gone. I'm sure it was a team effort, but I do appreciate it. Okay, we've got several demo applications, which we're going to take up first. And HDPR 2350, which is 316 Gulf Road, is first on the agenda. We have had you here before. You explained your project. You didn't have plans that were in place, and now we've seen them uploaded, and so we're interested to see what else you have to say. So if you'd like to explain just a little bit, I'm sure everyone's seen them, but thank you.
Sure. So I'm Mark, and this is Andrea Patterson. So we bought the house last May and had all intentions of trying to renovate the house, but as we started to uncover, peel back the onion, there was just too much rot, poorly done jobs of trying to fix what was there. And so anyway, after consulting with a couple of builders, there was really no saving the current structure. It was really just start over again. So we had plans done up, and we have them here. We've uploaded them. If you'd like to see pictures, I'd be glad to.
Okay, thank you.
So that's really where we are now. We're just looking for your approval to demo the house and start again and build something that is solid, that fits the area.
I've seen those, so if you want to, yeah.
Is there anybody who'd like to be recognized for questions?
I'd like to know who the contractor is that you're working with.
We currently haven't hired a contractor.
Are you a contractor?
I'm going to likely take care of the contracting, and, you know, for the most part, we've done it many times before.
But you're not a licensed contractor?
No, but everybody doing the work will be a licensed.
No, and that's really not within our purview. My question is, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but
Okay.
it would be good to know who, in fact, deemed that this structure was not salvageable. I mean, I'm not a building mover, but I was the contractor to have my house moved, but that doesn't mean I'm an expert at what I was, I had contractors that did the work.
Right.
So I guess I'm trying to understand from you who the person is that deemed that this structure was not at all salvageable in any shape or form.
Well, it's salvageable. It would cost more to try to salvage it and than to build new. And there's really nothing left in the house that's of historic value. The house has been, excuse my language, but bastardized many times over. It's nothing like it was. It had vinyl siding on it. Some very poorly done repair jobs that, if you want to see them in person, you're welcome to go in there, wear a hard hat. And so when we were looking for people to potentially renovate the house, out of the three of them that came in, they just said, this is not something I would even want to do. It's a tear down. So, yes.
Are you finished?
Do you have any further
No,
questions?
that's, okay.
You're recognized.
Yes.
Mr. Patterson, would you say that your knowledge, skill, and ability of doing this sort of work qualifies you? And can you give us an idea of how many years of experience you have doing construction projects?
Well, my company is MHP Asset Management, and in New Hampshire and Maine, we've built probably 13, 14 homes from the ground up. I renovated 1755 farmhouse in New Hampshire from the ground up, but there was something to be saved there.
Yes, I
You
understand.
know, and so 25 years
Yeah, 25
of
years.
renovating homes.
And in the role of project manager?
Yes.
Yes, I understand. Okay, so your knowledge, skill, and abilities seem to cover your ability to make a structural assessment.
Right.
Okay,
And just from the pictures that I uploaded the first go-around, you can see that there's some real issues with beams that were tacked into place that are not supported by anything. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what happened in that time frame, but I can only make assumptions, but,
okay. Well, your answer satisfies me, so
Okay.
that concludes my round of questions.
Yes, Bob?
Yeah, the house that you're proposing to tear down is a real hodgepodge. Whatever was there in 1870 is totally unrecognizable.
right.
In my estimation. And I think this design is a nice design,
Thank you.
straightforward, kind of vernacular, and fits with the area. I'd like to make, if there are no more questions,
I just have, if we can ask if the Mellows left any photographs, historical photographs of the house before it was worked on.
DeMello?
Yes.
Barbara and Richard?
Yeah,
Yeah, those, I've given anything like that to Ken next door, our neighbors. They have it. When it was the tea house, for instance.
Yes,
Is that what you're
yeah,
referring
yeah.
to? Yeah, they have that.
okay, so how do we go about getting copies so we can include it in our folders in the Historical Commission office?
I could ask them, but do we still have one?
We have one, I think. I don't have it in this folder, but I do have one
Right,
that he actually gave to us.
okay. But the structure it's not like it was.
No, I
The
understand
whole wing
that.
is gone.
But for your
But in
records.
spite of the fact,
Yeah.
we would like to be able to have evidence of what used to be there.
Sure. Yeah,
So,
we can get that for you.
okay, that'd be great.
If we can't find our copy, we'll get one from Ken.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Are there further questions? If not,
make a motion that we allow them to go ahead and do the demolition as presented.
Thank you.
Thank you.
do we have a second?
I'd second that, Robert's motion.
Okay. There no further debate? Okay, I'd like to call for a vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you all.
much.
We'll build a nice house.
And thanks for letting us have the pictures when you get a chance.
I'll deliver that copy.
The copy of the photo to
Sure.
you, to, where do we bring it to? To you?
I mean, you don't even have to do that, if you can just let us know, and I'll go over, and I'll go over to Ken's and get it.
Okay.
You know, whatever.
I know you know him.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
has it.
Okay, all right, easy enough, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Henry, you're up. HDPR 24-5, 2 Madaris Lane.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Henry Ladd. I'm with Howland Company, the builder for 2 Madaris Lane. Does anyone need a copy of the photographs or plans to look at?
I do, please. Great.
I only have 3 copies, so.
That's okay, we'll share.
We'll share them.
Yeah, so there are 2 components to the scope proposed here. One is on the house, which is a chimney rebuild and a chimney demolition, and the other is garage doors. So for the house, the impetus was that the east side chimney that faces 2 Madaris Lane, from the eave line up, is showing serious deterioration. There's cracking, it is showing its age and needs to be rebuilt. And so the discussion of rebuilding it let us look at there's a chimney on the west side, which is not original to the structure. If you see the first photo included there, you can see that the west side chimney does not exist. And if you look at a photo of the west side, you can see that the chimney makes kind of an awkward add-on to that facade. So the proposal was to remove the west side chimney, which is no longer used, salvage that brick, which matches, I mean, just because it's been weathering in the same location, it wasn't built at the same time, but very closely matches the brick from the front. So salvage the brick from the west side, use it to rebuild the east side, is the basic premise. There's a decorative clay tile on the east side chimney. Our hope is going to be to salvage that and reuse it. To be determined how cleanly that comes off. Would you like me to present the garage scope now, or do you want to ask any questions about the house? Or
I think continue
do it all?
on.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so then on the garage, the scope is, in a gist, is doors. So the existing overhead doors are in need of repair, and the intent is to replace those with something that will appear to be a carriage-style door. They actually, since we filed the application, they've decided they want to make them overhead doors, not actually out-swinging carriage-style doors, but the architectural style of them will remain the same, where it's lights over paneled wooden doors. And then they want to add an entry door on the west side of the garage. There currently is not an entry door into the garage space. You only can access through the overhead doors. So they want to have an entry door on the side. And then there's an attached shed structure on the west side, which currently has its access on the south side of the garage, and they're using that door for trash and other kind of utility access, and it doesn't really work with the flow of the property to walk around to the south side of the building, so they want to shift that to the north side of the building. That is the scope and a gist.
All right, thank you. Anybody like to be recognized for a question?
I'll be recognized for some things. So I reviewed this, and I now better understand. The chimney looks like, the chimney that you'll demo and reuse and salvage the bricks, that looks almost like a incinerator or a flue sort of chimney?
It could have
or-
been, there was a wood stove, when we did a phase 1 renovation inside of the house, there was a wood stove that was venting into it that was removed. There was no evidence of anything before that, but could have been something else before.
And judging from this color photograph, the shingles, this is the newer shingles. This is the
Yes.
work was approved by us in the fall or summer.
That's great.
maybe.
There have been multiple, right, so
Yeah,
there was some
right.
shingling work done
Yeah.
last season in a phase one. We're now doing
Right.
phase two of shingling, which includes
Okay.
replacing everything else.
When you came before us, last year,
Mm-hmm.
there's some discussion surrounding the old well house, the pump
Yes.
house.
Yeah.
Was not demoed, was it?
No, it was
Okay.
moved, yeah, it moved and has been refurbished.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so
Well,
it got
I-
moved, it was kind of right in the middle of the backyard before. It's now
Yeah.
been moved to the kind of west property line.
Yeah. Oh, we never heard any more about that. That's
Okay.
why I'm surprised.
Oh, yeah.
When you move a building like that, that's considered a demo. So,
Okay,
just technically, so
Yeah,
that's something
'cause
that
I-
should have come before us. And I thought you said you would let us know what was going on with that. That sort of
Okay.
obviously slipped through the cracks.
okay,
But
because
you
I'm quite
didn't-
certain that we filed for the building permit to move it and do that work, but maybe not. Maybe
that again, I didn't-
I thought that had been permitted to be moved, but I can double check that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if it had been, it would have come before us.
Yeah,
It would have
that's why I'm
popped
not
up.
quite sure. Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, you didn't demo it.
That's
It still
correct.
exists.
Yes.
And it's been refurbished and it lives in a different location on the property.
Yes, it just moved slightly back towards the property line. Yep.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. And you
Yeah, I think it
kept-
looks great.
You kept like the pebble dash stucco,
Oh, yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
that-
yeah, we braced the heck out of it,
Oh,
so
did you?
nothing came off,
Okay.
and actually, that survived the move very well, and,
Well, I'd like to see that actually,
looks
as a
great,
matter of
yeah.
fact. So if we could come by and
Sure.
just do a drop by.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, so I feel that your work on the chimneys is thoughtful work, et cetera. Regarding the garage, it looks like sort of a 1950s era car garage.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
what it
I
is?
wouldn't, no older than that, I wouldn't
Right,
have thought.
yeah.
I just couldn't prove its actual date of build,
Right.
but,
It just has that look with that gate. They
and
built a
its
million of
construction
those.
materials certainly
yeah.
suggest that it isn't any older
Yeah.
than that.
Okay, but the property's wonderful architecturally speaking, and the architects and all, they feel that with the change of the doors, do you sort of de-1950s the look of the garage, and it make it a little more compatible with the architecture?
Oh, I think absolutely, and also we're changing the asphalt roof is being changed to a wood shake
Yeah,
roof, which I
yeah.
think, again, will give it a little bit more kind of historic character.
And the gable front of the garage, is that gonna be a board and batten, a vertical?
It's a vertical beadboard right now, that
Vertical
will be
beadboard.
replaced. On the south side, that will be replaced in kind. On the north side, it's actually in good shape. Doesn't need to be replaced, so that's gonna stay in place.
Okay, all right, thank you, that concludes my questions.
There are other questions? Somebody please make a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed work by Mr. Ladd per DESK's plans and drawings for 2 Matterist, I always get that confused, Matterist Lane, for the work to proceed.
Great.
And I'll second that.
Okay. No further debate? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. off you
Great.
go.
Thanks very much. Want to take those?
Can I keep that?
You wanna keep it all?
I'm going to keep it all. I think they're nice. I just want to refer to them.
Sure. Thanks very much.
All right. Next is HDPR 24-9, 49 Nonquit Ave. This is 1873 and also had a Form B on it. It's DAR 656, the Otis Atherton Shepherd House.
Yes, I'm Tracy Barron, and my daughter and I bought the house in June, and my contractor is helping us here, and he's the one who's gonna, you've received plans from him.
Hi, my name is Fabio,
Uh.
and I'm gonna bring the pictures of what is existing, and then after I pass the picture around, then explain what we are proposing to do. That's the look of the house now.
These were all uploaded, yeah. So we,
Yeah, you might have seen them,
we've seen
yeah.
them, yeah.
Yeah. And then, The house now itself, we are looking to replace all the windows and all the siding, and we're gonna do some relocation of the doors that's shown on the plan that I uploaded.
Fabio, could you just slide those down, because I haven't had a chance to look at these today, because I've
That's
been
the
out and
house, the
about
way
all
it
day.
looks like it.
Yes, okay.
And I found one picture how the house
Oh, yeah.
was looking original. Was just, the house original was look like this. When it was this.
It looks
Nothing compared to what it is
nothing
now.
at all. Over the years, it's been added on to, and
That's a great photo.
Yeah, it is.
Was only one photo that found. the house.
Wonderful.
Oh, my goodness, yeah, lovely.
Oh, wow.
Better than the blue,
Oh, that's from the non-quit book.
yes.
Thank you.
And when we was trying to do the repair, we, like the previous presentation, literally like all the siding, the seal is all rotted, just like showing this picture here. This is pretty much the whole exterior of the house, looks like. And our project now is remove the entire side of the house, repair all the seal, restore all the structure, and install new windows. And the siding we are proposing is a natural cedar siding, as the look of most of the house nearby.
Are you gonna paint that siding, or are you
We
gonna?
want to keep it natural,
Great.
so they will age and have the same look of the house in the neighborhood, in that location. And the windows, we're gonna try to keep the same grille pattern with 2/2, to be more like what is existing now.
Is it 2/1 or 2/2 now?
2/2.
2/2.
Double hang.
Yeah, that's, oh, I see, yeah.
And the trim, the siding, we planning to, the side natural and the trim paint white. That's pretty much what we intend to do. And compare what the house was before, it's like nothing to compare with. They keep adding on and changing roofing lines and decking porch and all that. We understand the house is old, but surprised we found the house.
yeah, we had no idea of the extent of the dry rot, inside and outside. But we're not changing the facade of the house, except to, well, we are. We're putting in new windows, we're putting on new shingles to make it,
Livable.
yes, for a while longer, hopefully.
Any questions?
I don't have any further, I think I understand the scope of the project and what your intentions are, so, yes. It might be nice to return it to the natural cedar shingles rather than in the
Yes,
blue. I
yeah.
don't know, I haven't seen it.
No,
in-
well, we don't care for the color anyway. But we also have, strangely enough, a 1950s garage that was added on sometime. We're not planning to do anything with it, we just inherited it.
I do have another question regarding railings on the upper deck and the lower deck. The railings on the upper deck are quite nice, square pickets, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Create a nice rhythm that
Yeah.
is sympathetic or to non-quit properties. The railing on the lower
That's a screen porch, yes.
porch, does that stay the same? Does that change?
We was planning to take it out
Take it,
and leave nothing there.
and just the porch,
Leave the screen. Just the screen and no railing,
no railing?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Just-
you just have the columns?
just the
Yeah.
columns.
Oh, I see, okay, and, okay. Square columns?
Spare columns,
Yeah,
and we're gonna keep the railing up above because required by code.
Sure,
But at the bottom, it's like very low to the ground, it's not really necessary.
right, probably 16 or 18 inches above grade?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, that could be nice, that may make that whole
Make
facade
cleaner, yeah.
breathe a bit easier.
Yeah.
It's a bit cluttered, there's a lot going on.
Well,
Yeah.
there is a lot going on, yes, it is
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah, and the roof line obviously stays the same.
Stay the same.
Up and down, it's like the Alps.
Yeah, right, yeah, okay, I don't have any further questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions? Okay, did we get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the renovations as presented.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Do you want to keep those?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But it was handy for me to see them.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, it's been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to get going on it before the moratorium on building?
Indeed.
Okay. You think you'll finish it by
Well-
then? Well, fingers crossed.
about
Right,
outside shingles.
right, right.
That might be the last thing.
Yeah, right.
Have to wait for the cedar price goes down.
Not happening.
Oh my God.
Okay, and our last demo is HDPR 24-11, 316 Old Fall River Road.
No, 48 Beach?
Right? Oh,
48
Oh,
Beach.
sorry,
Beach
I missed one, didn't I?
Yeah,
Yeah,
48
48
Beach.
Beach, sorry, 2410. Sorry, I just was getting ahead of myself here, sorry. 2410, 10 coming before 11.
It's okay.
So, yes, 1910, first floor addition on south side.
Correct. We're just trying to, the gentleman had gotten hurt and, this past summer, and he realized at that point he had no place to really, sometimes he couldn't get upstairs. I mean, now he's all set. But they both are pretty much retired, spending a lot more time down here. She works out of the home, and so does he quite a bit. And so they're just looking for a little bit of a space that they want to add on for easier access for them. Plan on taking actually a couple of windows that are there on that south side. I plan on just reusing them, and continue this exact same look that's there now. Roof line, pretty much line up with the sun porch roof line. And as you can see from the pictures, all the windows have been already done over before, the siding. And so that's all I'm doing, is just bringing it out straight out to try to keep the same look.
And-
Yes.
And you're going to add a door, right? Or you had mentioned you were going to replace one of the windows
One
with
of
a
the
door?
windows, well, yeah, because when you put the addition on, that window will come out.
Right.
And I'll use that on the addition, and that will be the doorway to the room from the kitchen area that they have now.
Any other questions, Sue?
Oh, no, sorry.
Anybody else have questions about this?
Motion to approve the renovations as presented.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
Ooh, thank you. Now,
I'm Delta. This is Manny, my husband, Manuel Martins, and we just purchased this property and needs some improvement. Porches need to be done. We replaced in a few
Or the
windows,
inside,
but the
all the
outside.
plaster's falling apart, no.
But this is for the outside. So it's the doors, we're replacing the doors. We're not making any changes. A few windows need to be replaced. And that's about it. No. The house needs, needs some work. I had uploaded all the pictures. There's not,
yes, you have them all there.
yeah, you can see that the porches need to be done.
Yeah. And you did say you were going to be replacing the wood shingles with vinyl?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the wood shingles, it's like, some spots doesn't have anything, some
Yeah.
spots.
The house was in really bad shape.
Yes.
Let's talk about replacing the cedar shingles and going to vinyl. Are you using a high-grade sort of cedar impressions? Or are you going to do clapboard, or what is the new vinyl going to look like?
What is the vinyl?
It has to be wood there, or it could be done with vinyl, right?
Yes, that's what I'm asking. It's currently,
Currently wood shingles.
It is wood shingles.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wood
Will-
shingles. It's red, it's red.
Will you put a vinyl shingle on it or a clapboard? You know what I mean
Yes,
by that?
yes.
Which one?
The regular vinyl one, the
The regular
clapboard. Yeah, it looks
clapboard,
like
what we call
clapboard,
clapboard?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're doing that. And all the windows over time were just, are those all
Some-
replacement windows?
Some are good, we're just replacing
The
a
first
few.
floor has like 5 windows, they're good.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the rooms, like the bedrooms, all the windows are falling apart. So I'm gonna put new windows there.
Okay.
And the kitchen, it's a mess, right? So I wanna take everything inside, right? Drywall, it's plaster, the old plaster, I wanna take just the plaster out so the electrician could run wires because there's no, all the wires in the house, it's outside, right? For the switches.
Like
And
extension.
doesn't have much wire, electric there. And I just wanna do that so the electrician could run the wires in and the plumber too.
My comment is, I'm looking at a photo of the front, the principal facade of the house. The 5 windows on the front, what sort of windows will they be? Will they be 2 over 2 or 1 over 1? Do you understand my meaning there?
Like the second floor, it's all the windows.
Yeah, I know that. What will the sashes be like? Will they be single panes of glass, or will it have?
No, it's up and
double-
down window,
dou-
right?
double
That's-
hung.
That's where we have like 5 or 6 windows, it's like that.
Right. Well, what I'm getting at is the house, even though it's been changed over time, it still has a historic, nice feel to it, cottage feel to it. It'd be a shame to sort of lose that cottage feel. I understand that you do want to do vinyl, but the windows will make all the difference too if you use a nice quality window and you use what we call a 2 over 2 window. That's.
Yeah, but
that's
those windows,
But let me just
You're
finish my
just
thought.
saying
I'm
what's.
just saying, in order to kind of keep some integrity to the historic structure, nice window choice, it would be an important consideration for you as,
I'm putting a good replacement windows there.
yeah.
So, I mean,
We haven't bought the windows.
Yes.
Because we're gonna do it based on room by room, and, but we're gonna replace it and do everything the right way, so.
I mean, this is, for me and my daughter's gonna live there, so we're not gonna, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna do everything up to code and whatever needs to be done. That's why we're here.
Right. Well, I would just say that, for instance, Anderson makes some very nice windows and they make various styles and designs that read historic. You can have what we call 2 over 2. That's, you have 2 sashes, 1 sash over the other, and that upper sash is divided into 2 panes of glass. The lower one is divided into 2 panes of glass. I think you might have, if you were listening to the conversation we
Yeah,
had
yeah,
earlier
yeah.
with those folks, you know, what sort of windows are you gonna put in? And that sort of thing would be in keeping with the period of this.
Because the house itself, even if you look around, it's like, there's no historic, I don't see it, but, you know, like,
The house itself?
yeah,
Well,
like.
it certainly does, yeah, it has a feeling to it, yeah. It's like a late 19th century, early 20th
But
century
what I meant to say was
farmhouse.
like, there's been so many changes to the house that it's like.
Yeah, but whatever owned the house before, he never took care of that.
But
because-
for instance, that front door has a nice bracketed architrave above it.
Yeah.
That small bit of molding.
Yeah.
Just
Keep that, yeah.
things like, oh, abstract, and the type of door that you use too
Okay.
could change the character in an adverse way or in a positive way. So it's details like that.
Okay.
And I only mention this because this is what we're facing a lot in Dartmouth. People just sort of want to take all these, do these rehab projects, but they kind of strip the character out of the houses. Whether, and not realizing that they're in fact doing that. And being on the commission, historical commission, we want to sort of give you any guidance we can as to sensitivity, et cetera, for the architecture. So it's very nice little house.
Yeah, it is. It's very, it'll be good for us and our daughter, because it's a two-family. Yeah, so.
Are there any other questions, comments?
I just wanted to for the record, it has a inventory. It's a DAR 1007. It was the home of Leonidas Hathaway, 1870. The foundation is cut granite. He was a butcher.
Yeah, we can see.
I'm sorry?
I says, we can see this.
But the 20th century owner was Jose Furtado, and he was a dairy farmer, and he actually farmed you know where the vineyard is?
Yes, right
the
across,
road?
right.
That used to be the Raposa Dairy Farm,
Oh, I see.
but it then became a vineyard. So that's a little bit of the history.
Yeah. Something that we have to look into it.
Okay, if there's no further, are there no further questions? Could we have a motion on that, please?
We're just trying to make that place look nice, you know, and right now it's like garbage everywhere, you know.
Oh, a lot of
Doors
cleaning.
falling off the wall, you know.
I'd like to make a motion that you proceed with your project, and good luck, and
Thank you.
have
We
We'll try.
have a
fun in your
second?
new house.
Thank you.
Second.
We get Bev on that one. All in favor?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
right,
Thank you
thank you.
so much. Have a good
Good-
night.
good night.
Thank you.
Good luck.
It's funny, because I looked for a DAR and I couldn't find it. I wrote no DAR on there. Nice. So I couldn't believe there wasn't one at 18, being 1880.
Yep.
Well, good for you. Glad you found it.
That's okay.
Okay, so that brings us to some of the new business. First is a new member application. Robert Mahowald, I'm probably butchering his name, I'm sorry, Robert. He was hoping to attend this meeting, but he is out of town today, so he'll be in attendance at next meeting.
How do you spell his last name?
Mahowald. He lives in Padenham. And so here's part of what he said about himself in the application to the select board in his letter. He works in technology consulting for a small private firm, focusing on business partnership and alliance programs for large software and services companies. He also manages rental properties, including 3 in South Dartmouth. He lives in an 1804 home, and he also owns an 1850 home. He's intensely interested in historical detail and artifacts being preserved and maintained. He's been a permanent resident of Dartmouth since 2019. They bought a home here after his wife commuted for the last 20 years from Shrewsbury to New Bedford. She's a physician at St. Luke's. He's on the Dartmouth Veterans Advisory Board and also on the board of a technology startup. And he says he'd be happy to help the DHC in any way he can. So I spoke to him briefly on the phone, and we're hoping to maybe get together for coffee before he makes his grand entrance, but I'm assuming that the select board has taken it up. I haven't seen anything one way or the other, but I'll follow up on that before the March meeting. So that's good news. I'm going to skip ahead, if no one objects, to the item about, where did it go? Commission membership. I received a call from Heidi Silva Brooks. And she is on a charter committee. They're looking at all the different boards and committees in town and seeing whether the number of members is suitable for the mission, et cetera. Apparently, she had talked to Judy Lund about it previously, and the current number we have, 9, they both agreed was probably too large. We haven't been able to get 9 members. So we discussed reducing it, and she had said something about 5, but 7 seems to be probably a number that would be a better fit for us, We currently have 6. Five just seems like a pretty low number and hard to get good discussions going, hard to delegate tasks, et cetera. So unless there is strong objection, I'm going to let her know that 7 is the number that we're hoping for. It still has a lot of process to go through. She's doing this with all the boards and committees in town, so it has to go through the select board and to town meeting, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, if you'll just recognize me. So internally, among ourselves, making the decision from taking it to 9 to 7, is that something we vote on, or can you make that decision unilaterally?
I guess I was waiting to hear some discussion. I'm going to have to look up the rules on that one, since it's something that we haven't had to deal with before. But the way I left it with Heidi was that I was going to bring it up at tonight's meeting and see where people's moods were with regard to it.
Is it a slightly moot point? If we can never achieve 9 anyway, do we officially have to change it?
Yes, yes, we need to have the right number for what we are filling the spots for. You know, having vacancies year after year after year is not the desired
It's not.
MO, no. And I don't know when the last time there were 9 people on the commission, or what the history of that is. Perhaps somebody, no?
No, I haven't been here.
No, I'm not.
Refresh my memory, if anyone has looked at our bylaws recently, was it recommended that we have an architect or an attorney, one of the two?
No.
On our board?
Not a specific recommendation, no. I think it's a good
Or a
idea.
suggestion that,
Other commissions also have somebody from the
Let's-
real estate.
right?
If we could just be recognized before just opening things up, I think we're gonna try to do things that way. So in answer to your question, no, there are, as far as I know, there's nothing in the bylaws that I've read fairly recently that says specifically what the makeup should be.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Yes?
other than no fewer than 3 and no more than 7. That's the way it's written.
Qualifies of the need of having a qualified commission member on the board, on the commission?
That was just Bob's question.
Okay.
At this point, there's no specific criteria. I think unofficially, the ability to show up to meetings, the ability to access the documents that we need to make our decisions, those are some of the basics, and I would hope an interest in history and preservation. But besides that, there's nothing specifically in the bylaw.
So I'm still recognized.
Yes?
Sue just made a comment, 3 to 7. Where did she get?
It's in the bylaw.
So it says 3 to 7 currently, and we have 9?
Yes, right.
So that doesn't seem to be making any sense.
Because at one point, it must have gone to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm recognizing you to answer the question.
Thank you. At some point, it was brought before town meeting to expand the membership from whatever it was at the time to 9.
Just seeing if I can find the language here exactly. But I know that I did read that in the last 2 days. Demo permit.
A lot of time, the changes will be notated at the bottom.
I can't find it at the moment, and I don't want to hold everything up.
But that clarifies things. It's just so originally 3 to 7, at some subsequent point, 9, the number was up to 9, and now we're wanting to bring it back to 7. And so do you want to just gather from us an informal consensus that.
Yes, I could-
That's fine with us to make your recommendations to Select Board Member Heidi.
That was my
Sylvia.
intention, yes.
Yeah.
Would you be willing, so I'm
Oh,
polling
do
you
want-
now.
Oh, do you want to make a motion?
No, I'm
No.
asking informally,
Oh.
just to get a consensus.
Oh, I see.
How do you feel
I-
about 7?
Seven's fine, especially now, as I've learned that that was the original number. Yes, fine with me.
And I agree with the 7, because I think at the time when they upped it, a lot of people were volunteering, and now there's a lack that I'm hearing of people trying to volunteer. So to get 9, I don't think that would be feasible or attainable.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
I think 7 is a reasonable, makes sense.
Okay. Phil?
I have one question. 7 is a good number. How many members, if 3 people called out sick, how many members are allowed to make a decision on how many
4.
actual members are needed? 4?
Yes.
Okay.
And Sue, what's your thought?
I agree with the 7.
Okay. Thank you. So I will report that back to Heidi, that we've got a consensus on that. Okay, the next topic of discussion was review meeting etiquette. And I was thinking of it sort of, I had trouble with that word in a way, so I was thinking more like protocol. And there were a couple of specific aspects of it that I wanted to highlight, and so I typed a few things up here. You take one and pass it along, please. I think when we are making motions, it would be helpful if we had a more clear and succinct script for how to say it so that it's consistent and accurate. And so what I have come up with was to make a motion to approve a demo permit. One would say, I make a motion that the Dartmouth Historical Commission, having determined the building at, 2 Madaris Lane or whatever it is, not historically significant, approves the demolition permit for the work described in application HDPR, and then you can list the number, because we'll have it right on the agenda. It's nothing we have to look up. And that's good for the minutes, makes everything kind of tight. You tie the HDPR with the address and the keywords, not historically significant. Likewise, if we are going to deny a demo permit after finding the building to be historically significant, the wording there would deny the permit and schedule a public hearing, having determined the building at the address to be historically significant based on criteria. And then we've got the criteria listed below. And just one sec, please. And that comes, the significant building criteria and the wording of preferably preserved comes from the Town of Dartmouth General Bylaw, Chapter 209-17. Additionally, if we are going to deny a demo permit based on one of the criteria listed below, it needs to be very clear in our description what specific attributes of the building were considered to be historically significant. If it's a particular person, we need to name the person who was associated with that building, whether it's an architect or somebody who lived there. If it is a particular example of architecture that's needs to be saved, that's outstanding, we need to say what that style is and what makes it a particularly notable example. Just that, I think that really needs to be tightened up and more consistent. So unless there are significant problems with the wording of those, I think we need to move in that direction. And it will also help, we'll just have it right there, read it off, it's simple, it's the same for everybody. Let me just kind of go through it.
Oh,
and
the
then we
entire
can-
thing.
And then we can continue. So the significant building definition comes, again, from the Town of Dartmouth General Bylaw. Preferably preserved, does as well. And then the next section just goes to some of the things that I think have become issues over the last, maybe even several years. Judy was very adept at running meetings and knowing the rules compared to myself, who had never run a meeting until I all of a sudden found myself doing that. And so I wanted to go back to Robert's rules. I found that there is a separate, I don't know if it's an addendum or appendix, let's see what it says here. But part of the newly revised 12th edition has a separate section for small boards. And so I copied and pasted some of those in here from the website that I cited. It starts out with the reasons for following these rules, which I think we're all aware of. Some of the basic principles that I think maybe we have gotten away from, that if we were to go back to them, not only is it the proper thing to do, but I think it'll make the meetings run more smoothly. And I know that there have been some issues with people not speaking without being recognized, and personal remarks and side discussions that have been disruptive, so I wanted to point those out. The basic definitions, I'm sure you all know those, but I put it in there anyway. And then on page 3, the role of the chair. The thing that I really want to keep in mind is to keep discussion focused on the pending motion, not get sidetracked, and maintaining order. And then there's also general procedure for handling a main motion. And I think one of the things that has not been done by me, and perhaps not by Judy, it's been a while since she's run a meeting, but the one in red, if the motion is in order, the chair will restate the motion and open debate. Now, when we're doing the HDPRs, it's almost as if the debate comes first, but it's not debate, it's more questions about the application. And the debate comes after the motion has been made. We tend not to have more debate after that, it seems, but that's the procedure, so I put it in there. The rest of it, I think, is, we do what we're supposed to there. And so just the last little bit, all discussion must be relevant to the immediately pending question. It does say no member should speak more than twice to each debatable motion. But again, we're not debating the motion so much as we are asking questions before the motion is made. So I think as long as that can be kept to a timely amount of question and answer period, we can leave that alone. I don't think we've been dealing with the last one that I have in red, which is that all remarks should be addressed to the chair, no cross debate is permitted. I think sometimes that does happen. So I'd like to call your attention to that and ask that we try to use the chair, whether it's me or anybody else, as the point person to filter debate so that two people aren't having a discussion across the room. And so those were the highlights of what I wanted to bring up. And so if there are comments, then I will recognize people for those. Yes.
You're recognizing me?
I'm recognizing you, and I think Phil was next.
Okay. This protocol memo it's good. I think it's high time that we sort of sorted this and have a scripted motion laid out. This is something I mentioned to you in an email last month after the select board meeting, where Attorney Anthony Savastano faulted our commission
Indeed.
for not citing specifically why we determined something to be historically significant. My argument back to the select board was that, given the documentation on the building, it was implicit or implied that it was historically significant. We didn't have to go that far. But going forward, I think it's brilliant that we say whether it's architecturally significant, or George Washington slept here, and that's why it's significant, or this, that, or the other. We get that out there in the open, so we're not faulted for that any longer. I think also, just your general notes of controlling debate and dialogue among members will help bring it more order to our meetings and expedite things. And bringing and addressing you specifically to eliminate cross debate. I think that's an important thing that we've gotten away from. So those are my comments on the memo.
Thank you. Phil?
Is the cross debate another term of interrupting someone who's already speaking, or trying to get a point over? And James used it a couple of times on me about, he repeated a word 3 times. Is that like a timeout, kind of stop talking and just listen, referred to?
I believe that what you're saying is that in the past, there have been interchanges between the different members, and what we are now saying is that is no longer going to be the case. If you have something to say, you are recognized, and you say it directly to me, and then if somebody else would like to say something in response to what you said, they will be asking me to be called on, and then they will speak to me to address the point they want to make to you.
So if
And that
you-
way, it doesn't get interpersonal.
Right, and then if you say the wrong language in a statement, can another person change it so it sounds better? Like kind of, and is there a time factor when you speak? Like if you're trying to get a point across, that you count in your head like 1001, and you just have a timer in front of you so that you don't go over your point?
No, I think that if somebody were to go on too long and be repeating themselves, I would curtail that commenting so that it didn't get repetitive. And as far as changing somebody's wording, that would, if you said something to me, then and somebody else wanted to change the wording or clarify, then they would need to be recognized, and then they could say what they wanted to say. However, I think that the point is, we're focusing on the question at hand. We're not focusing on how you phrased something, unless it is something to do with emotion or something where the facts need to be clarified in some way. And I think part of the problems that we may have had in the past should be addressed by having these scripts, because we're always going to say it the right way, because you're just going to read it off here when you make a motion.
Now, there's another rules of order that I have a copy of. Can I refer to that copy of the rules of order?
That is a larger document, and it applies to everything from Parliament to Congress. And being a smaller body, there is a separate set based off the original that we follow, and that's what I provided for you. So it should match the larger version, but be simplified, because what we're dealing with is in a smaller venue.
listen more and speak less.
Would anybody else like to comment?
Does everyone here know where?
Would you like to be recognized? Yes.
Does everyone here know where Robert's Rules of Order was written?
Right here.
Okay.
Yes. Are there any other comments? Yes, Bob.
I just had a quick question. So you were saying when the motion's made, okay, and approved, we usually don't have a debate after? You're saying we should have a debate after?
When the motion is made and seconded,
Yeah.
then there can be debate about the motion.
Okay,
And we don't usually do that very much because we're focused on the discussion about, are you changing windows or doors or siding?
what kind of siding you're using and so
Right.
forth. So
So-
we usually ask those questions prior.
Correct.
So we're
So-
just gonna keep it like that because it sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the debate would come if you made the motion and it was seconded, and then people wanted to discuss why we should or should not be voting for or against it.
Chairman, I got.
Just 1 second, I'm gonna see if Sue has any other comments, so that everybody has a chance to speak before people get second helpings. Okay, I think Phil was first, and then Bob would be recognized, yes.
Curtains here, so it isn't so cold on this side.
That is off topic, Phil. Bob.
I guess I was going to say that after the motion has been seconded, somebody might want to clarify a word or part of the verbiage that is in the motion. So it might be just a matter of like, editing or clarifying something that, in the motion that's been made.
Madam
The
Chair.
only thing I think that maybe, sorry, that having a script should clear that up.
For, yeah.
For now, yes, Sue's next.
But again, if the commentary about the motion becomes lengthy, then it's more expeditious if that person says to the person who made the motion, can you please withdraw the motion? So we don't get into these huge, long edits on a motion that was originally made. Just say withdraw, and then that simplifies it.
Can we have a
You
sample?
haven't been recognized, we're gonna practice this. One thing, just to Sue's point, I did see that there are, and we all know this, a bunch of different kinds of amendments. But I agree that if we can keep it at a simple declarative motion that's scripted, and try to eliminate making amendments, that will make it much easier for the secretary who's trying to keep the wording precise. So I think whenever possible, it would be better to withdraw the motion and then make it again correctly after comments or debate has occurred. Phil's next, and then you.
Will we have a dry run with this, like a quick verbiage of what?
No.
No?
No, it's
just
right here.
Right here.
Okay?
All right, so I just want to recap. So we have the presentations made by applicants. We have discussion. You then have someone with, who calls for the discussion to be closed? Do you? Do you look around the room and say, if no other, I'm looking for a motion, right?
Right.
All right. Somebody makes a motion. And that when we have further debate before it gets seconded?
No.
No,
It gets seconded. and
then we have further debate. So we have debate really on either side of the motion. Discussion, motion, debate.
Right. We have not been having debate, and I like it that way. And I think that by the time we get to the seconding of the motion, I think people have already heard the answers to the questions. It's more like, instead of debate or discussion, it's more like questions and responses from the applicant.
No, but that's taken care of before we make the motion typically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying we're unlikely going to have much debate after a motion.
Correct.
Okay, then one last question that Sue brought up. Who, if a commission member is unhappy with the motion made, does that commission member address you to ask
Yes.
for withdrawal?
Yes,
And
I
then
would
you
say
ask-
that you would say, I would like some changes made, or I have a suggestion to make about changing the wording for this for the following reasons. Here's my suggestion. And then I think we would have a discussion about whether that should be withdrawn or not, and restate the motion after that.
Okay, does the person who made the motion say, all right, then, nobody's really happy with how it's been worded, I'll withdraw?
I suppose that is how that would work.
I mean, you don't have to, I'm sorry.
Sorry?
You you don't have to express it in that way. All you have to do is say, I choose to withdraw my motion.
If there is a reason why if two people disagree about whether the motion should be withdrawn or not, is that the crux of your question?
No, the crux of my question was, if another commission member doesn't like the language of the motion, feels it fails to adequately express what needs to be said, that person comes to you and say, Chair, I'd like to have this withdrawn.
Yes, I guess that would be. I'm really hoping that with a script, we're not gonna have this happen. I can't imagine what other scenario would come up. I mean, I suppose if it's something that's not a demo application that we're voting on, is that what you're talking?
Well, for instance,
An example.
Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt, but for instance, we're familiar with motions being made and then another member saying, I would like to amend that motion. We're more likely doing that than we are withdrawing motions, aren't we? It's been our habit.
Right. I think what we're talking about here is, on a practical level, trying not to have too many amendments and changes to a motion so that the person who's trying to keep tabs of what everybody said and what the actual motion is can keep up. And so the clarity of having a motion that is unamended was where we were going with this.
Okay, so we're more likely heading towards wanting to withdraw motions rather than amend motions. Is that what you like to, even though?
For clarity.
Yes, but even though amending a motion is a perfectly acceptable thing to do.
As I,
Right,
correct.
but you're thinking we want to just withdraw it and start all over.
If for the sake of clarity and for the sake of whoever's taking the minutes, that would be helpful, then yes. I believe, Phil, you had your hand up?
Jamie's perfect. I like Jamie. I like watching his leadership when he's talking because he doesn't like to be interrupted, so I'll be more aware of the rules of order, so,
Okay, thank you, Phil.
sorry.
All right, is there any further discussion on that? Excellent. Okay, the abutters. At the meeting, at the meeting where 2 Washburn came up, the concept of sending letters to abutters was brought up by Jamie, and letters to abutters were sent out. It was a last-minute decision on my part, not, I had 1 foot out the door, as did Jamie, and I did not have time to do the research and wanted to err on the side of caution before, because I didn't know what the exact law was, and I wanted to do some research and make sure that we were doing the right thing. And from what I have learned, there should be no notice to abutters or parties of interest. Notification of a public meeting following a vote to deny a demo permit is already been addressed in our bylaws. The Mass Historical Commission does not provide notice to abutters, and I'm going to recognize Sue to report on a conversation that she had with the Mass Historical Commission, please, at this point, before I continue on to my other points.
When this topic came up, I called Mass Historical and I spoke with Jennifer Doherty, who is the local government program specialist, or coordinator, I'm sorry, and asked her if local historical commissions are required to send notices to abutters. And she said no, that we are each governed by our demolition delay. And in our case, the only requirement there is public notice of the time, place, and purpose of the hearing shall be posted in a conspicuous place in Town Hall for a period of not less than 7 days prior to the date of said hearing, and the building commissioner and the applicant shall be notified in writing of the meeting time and place. That's it, pure and simple.
And there are a few other points I'd like to add to that. As I said before, it's not in our bylaw, so it would need further approval to make any changes. Mass General Law that you sent, Jamie, for Chapter 40A applies to zoning, not to historical commissions. And so I did some research on the Dartmouth government website, and I put in the search terms notice, abutters, and public hearing to see what other permits required notification to abutters. And the following were the only 4 who send notices to abutters. It's for a floodplain permit, a stormwater permit, earth and soil removal, and for a kennel license. Local Historic District here does do it. I believe it's probably because it's similar to a zoning issue, that interested parties are in the district or the zone. They're in closer proximity. There are some strict rules involved. But again, they are governed by their own bylaws, and we are governed by ours. And at the current moment, we do not send any notice to abutters. And so that is the end of that policy issue. It's in our bylaws, and we don't notify abutters.
If you'll recognize me, have some comment.
I'll recognize you briefly for a comment, yes.
Is there any reason why we can't pursue this and put it into the bylaws? I'm not finished, as I noted, it seems to be a best practice when you notify stakeholders, et cetera, of what's going on in their community. Do people know what's going on if you post it in town hall, or do people read the local newspapers that much anymore?
That's a question I can't really answer. I don't know one way or the other, but my feeling is that there are many situations where somebody might be doing something to their property and the abutters are not notified. There are building permits all over the place. There are things that are constructed and deconstructed without notifying abutters. If there had been a general policy for abutters to be notified anytime something was done, then the bullet points there, which the only 4, there would be more than 4 permits or licenses that would require notices to abutters. There are not. If this is something that you feel very strongly about. There's nothing preventing you from working with the Mass Historical Commission and bringing a proposal to the commission for discussion and vote. Nothing to prevent you from doing that. At this point, we're going with what the bylaws currently state.
Well, then I'll wrap up with comment. I was merely using our local historic district commission as a model. If they do it, it seemed to be like a good example for us to do it. Concerning 2 Washburn, which is a very historically and culturally important building to our community, it seemed to me hugely important to get the word out, especially to abutters, as it would affect their property. That was sort of what motivated me to think about doing it, because it didn't seem like it was being very well broadcast. So, again, to conclude, I think concerned citizens, stakeholders would like to know that sort of thing. I'll pursue it as you suggest, but again, I didn't think it'd be that complicated of an issue, or that I was going to catch such headwinds for a proposal that I thought was a best practices sort of proposal.
Noted.
Thank you.
Can I-
Oh, yes, Beth.
I just had a question. So if you did, just hypothetically, pursued that and it went through, would it follow, and maybe Michelle can answer that, would it follow the same protocol, have to be the same protocol as all those other departments where the homeowner has to pay hundreds of dollars because through those, notices, you have to get a certified copy of the abutters, which is like $2.50 or $2 something a copy. Then you have to mail it out, and then
It's $2.50
per person, yeah. So with those, if you went with that, then you would be incurring a cost of a few $100s to the homeowner.
Okay.
If you
Well,
recognize me, that,
But just one second. Are there any other fees, Michelle, associated with notifying abutters that you're aware of? And is there a? Okay. One final comment?
yeah, just point of order. What's the cost per abutter? $2.50? Well, there aren't that, it doesn't, wouldn't run
Wait,
up.
you need to speak to me, we're
Okay.
not having cross discussions.
All right. I understand it's $2.50 per
Yes.
abutter. That would not be an onerous burden on anybody. You only go out 300 feet, you go to the abutter, you go to the abutter of the abutters, and maybe 300 feet. So you don't really have that many abutters. So let's just say you have 10 abutters tops, that's $25, right? That's, again, that's not so onerous that it would want us to, would prevent us from considering it. And again, the local historic district commission does it.
Okay. Well, just one second, I think Sue is next, and then we're going to wrap this conversation up.
I guess it's not clear to me where you draw the line. The reason that these Mass General laws apply to zoning and historical district is because they have a defined zone or perimeter. If we were to say that we're gonna do this notice to abutters, and because it becomes a moving target based on the property that we're looking at, we then have to, it could go as far as we need to notify everybody in town because they all need to know
Oh,
the
that's-
notice, but that's
No, point of
exact-
order,
no,
that's so inaccurate.
Okay,
and
no,
prejudicial.
I'm not,
No,
wait.
point of
I'm-
order, that's so inaccurate and prejudicial to think we'd have to notify the whole town of an event.
This conversation-
That's silly.
This conversation has ended now. We have discussed it. We have the points to think about. If you want to pursue it further, it would mean a change in the bylaw. You can do your investigation. I would insist that you talk to Mass Historical and get something from them.
Insist.
Well, I would strongly suggest that their input would be welcome, since they are our governing body, or our, you know, they stand above us in their authority. And I think that what they suggest is what most districts do, or most commissions do. And if you can find examples of others that do all this work with the abutters, I think that would help your case as well. So that is where that's going to land for tonight. The last item on the agenda is the appointment of Sue Gaducci to the advisory group for the old police station. And she's going to update us on the current status of the old police station, what's been going on, the letters of support, some of the things that Bob has asked for. I know you sent an email at the end of today, last minute.
I did not.
So, I don't know if Sue's seen it,
I did
but
not see
I
it.
did ask her to do an update. So hopefully that will cover some of the questions that you had, and in particular, what's next now that the demo delay has run out.
Well, aside from the fact that we've gotten a letter of support from the Housing Authority, the structural engineer is going to be looking at the building tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So we'll see what happens after that.
And as far as the demo delay running out, it has run out, but because the select board has agreed to pursue having an advisory board with one of our commission members on it, and they're looking at selling it, and they're allowing us to look at it with a structural engineer. I think we are still involved. We don't have a complete, you know, we don't have a stay on it, but they have publicly said that they want to work towards this with an advisory committee. Is there anything else that you have to add to that?
No, it's been pretty quiet.
Bob?
I do have this questionnaire, or 6 questions or comments on the where we go from here question, and I'd like to, I made copies for everyone here. Part of it is because since our demolition delay has run out, I wonder what our role is from this point forward. One of the select board members, I think it was Title at the end of their meeting, select board meeting, suggested that the town look into the property being sold, and that they form a committee, and that may perhaps one of the, or some of the DHC members would be on that committee. And to look into the prospects of the property being sold, and that brings up two questions. What happens to the property if it's sold to a developer and the building still stands? Are there restrictions going to be put on what the developer can do with that building or reuse the building? And secondly, if the engineers decide that the building is not salvageable, and the town decides that it should be torn down, then do we have any involvement in what follows, after the demolition? So if if I can take this point by point, and we can,
If we can
we
go,
can, we can discuss.
if we can go
and-
fairly quickly, it's already 8, so I just
Okay,
want
or
to,
we can bring it up the next time, but well, my first question to Sue, I guess, is is there a committee now a subcommittee that's being charged with looking into whether this property should be sold to developers?
let me just do it the proper way. I think, I'm going to call and ask Sue to explain this, but as of that meeting, they established this advisory committee, and we are appointing Sue, who has done the most legwork and has been incredibly engaged on this, to be our representative. And it's my understanding that they are looking into finding somebody to sell it to for some of the purposes that we have been pushing for, like senior housing, affordable housing, et cetera. That's not a guarantee, but as our representative, and given what we've been pushing for so far, it's my understanding that that's where Sue's voice will be heard, and where bringing in the Housing Authority and others will be beneficial. So I'll recognize Sue to address those other aspects of your
And
question.
to continue on that point, Sue, will you be reporting to us for our input and our, into what decisions are being made by that committee?
I think this committee is going to be independent of the other than having a representative from the Historical Commission, it's going to function separately.
But
I can report back what we found in discovery, but
yeah, I think if the Historic Commission is going to be represented, that we should be updated on the work that the committee is doing and what's being discussed, and to see if there's anything that we want to add or change, get that communicated to that committee. My first question is what is, if now that the demolition delay has passed and expired, what is our role going forward? Do we see ourselves having a role other than an advisory role capacity for
I
this
think
property?
our only role is to have a committee member, a commission member on this advisory council, reporting back to us. We can be advocates, we can be out in public and continuing to advocate for what we want to see happen here. But our official role, now that the demo delays run out, has ended.
And so there's an engineer coming, looking at the property on next weekend.
tomorrow at
Tomorrow.
1 o'clock.
Are they going to be the final word on whether the building can be?
No, because all he's going to be doing is, he's going to be drawing up a proposal for what the structural assessment would cost. If the select board or this advisory committee feels that it's not necessary for whatever reason, then they don't have to accept it or spend the money to do it.
And does that end the discussion of the demolition of the building? If the select board decides that the engineer's recommendations are too costly, or to maintain the building, to keep the building standing?
No, what this consultant is going to provide is a proposal to go in and determine what, if there are any structural issues with the building. But that's if the town will agree to pay him to do that. All I'm getting, just as we got an environmental assessment bid, this'll be the same thing. They can choose to spend the money, or they may not.
And if they decide not to spend the money?
For the structural or the environmental assessments, then, I mean, that'll just move it closer to the sale, I suspect, if they don't want to spend that money.
And if we decide that the building is preferentially preserved, is our goal to preserve the town hall structure, or to preserve, or are we making an argument to preserve the original structure with the modern renovations that were made for the police station? My belief has been that we've been interested in saving the original town hall structure and not the wraparound of the modern police station.
They, as I understand it, to take it back to the original brickwork would not be economically feasible, because they've already moved the windows out. So that means they would have to then replace the windows to the interior where the brickwork is. That would be, the cost would be obscene. So the only way to preserve the building is to leave it the way it stands now.
Oh, okay, so we wouldn't accomplish, if we saved the building, we wouldn't accomplish preserving, looking at the structure of the 1926 building that we're trying to save. What we would be saving is the police station, essentially.
What we would be saving is a building that is perfectly suitable to, or could be perfectly suitable for affordable housing, no matter what its form.
Right. Well, I wonder if the property were sold to a developer, that if they said, yes, we're fine with doing affordable housing, but we can do something that is designed in a way that can be affordable housing, but that will be more efficiently built, that we trying to create a livable apartments or space out of that police station configuration would be more expensive than just tearing it down and building an entirely new structure.
But if you listen to I'm sorry.
It seems to make sense to have you two speaking, so I'm kind of suspending.
If you listen to the contractors that have already looked at that building, it's all gonna be gutted anyway. So however it is they're gonna configure it, it's not based on the layout the way it is now.
Right, well, so I'm wondering that if the town decides to put this out to developers to make proposals for use of the property, does it make sense if a developer comes forward with a plan that involves tearing down that building and putting something new there that is affordable housing, let's say, or whatever it is, senior housing, should that be something that we object to, or?
I think if they end up going in that direction, that's gonna provide them with the parking for the rec center.
Okay, which brings, me to, let's see, if the building is determined to be sound preferential. And in terms of the use, the other question that's been in the back of my mind is, as we've talked about the police station and the town hall, have we been thinking about the entire site, or have we only been thinking about the footprint of where the police station is? Because my opinion is that that site, and I think I've suggested this before, is that that site has the potential to be a nice, small campus for maybe a combination of affordable housing along with some senior housing. And one of the comments that I keep seeing in the New York Times and in national publications is that there is a housing crisis in the country for not only affordable housing, but there are seniors who have raised families in very large homes and would love to downsize from their large homes that are maybe 2 stories and move into a single, 1-floor apartment. Sometimes these families are husbands and wives who are surviving together who need care and so on. So there is a need for housing, and that entire site has the opportunity, if it were sold to developers, to put money into the town coffers, number one, to perhaps give the town real estate tax funds, number two, instead of having to maintain a parking lot or whatever.
Well, we have made all of the points that you just said over and over and over to the select board. I mean, in 16 different ways, and posters and every which
but
way. So I think now what we're going to do, I mean, because I think we all agree what you're saying is that we'd like to save this building and have some affordable housing or senior housing use put there and not just a parking lot. And so Sue will be advocating for that when she's on this advisory panel, so that if they do sell it, they're selling it to somebody who's going to be hopefully doing what you just suggested, that it's going to be, I don't know how much input we're going to have, period, but also whether they sell just the building or whether they make it the whole campus. I think those are questions that are going to be answered down the road, but not something that we can say anything further about at this point until they've begun their meetings. I think, just in the interest of time, if we could, make your final comment or question or things that you want Sue to take to the advisory board, and then I'm going to recognize Jamie, and then we're going to move on.
Well, I guess my final comment is having, if we've arrived at a place where we can be advocates, but we have no power or legal say in what happens to the site, is I would like to see, unfortunately, we live in a world where we don't have local newspapers that people read a lot, and so there's not an awareness by voters and residents of the town, not just our community, but all across the country, that maybe this is something that should come before the town, to a town meeting for a vote on the use of how this property is dealt with. So I think the idea of turning this property into a parking lot is vile, considering what the town needs, that it could become an income resource for the town, and it could be a beautifully developed piece of property.
Right.
And I think
We
we
hear
should, I would like to see DHC go on record. They don't have to be my words, but in advocating for this sort of development for the property.
I do believe that's what we have been doing for the last six months. All the meetings with the select board, the postcard campaign, the articles in the newspaper. There's been stuff on Facebook. I mean, all those things have been ways to try to get that kind of support. So I'm going to recognize Jamie next.
All right,
And we're going to wrap this up.
May I be excused to go to the bathroom?
Yes.
I have three points I want to make, just building on Robert's comments. I attended that select board meeting, as did you. You attended that select board meeting when they made decisions. I thought the motion they made was to create a committee to research and to find the fair market value of the property. I thought that was what the motion was made. And then would the goal or intent of taking what information they gathered as to value, taking that to town meeting in the spring for town meeting members to vote yea or nay. It's not a fait accompli, though, because historically, town meeting has been very reluctant to sell town property. So even though the select board was suggesting the town move in that direction, selling the property, who knows? The town meeting members may reject that entirely and say, nope, we're going to hang on to it. No, thank you very much. All right, so there's that. So that's what I thought the motion was about and what was where it was going. And anyone can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, another point is I'm not sure about when Sue meets with this professional tomorrow at 1 o'clock, is Sue and select board meeting, I have a number of questions, so don't answer this right away. Is Sue meeting independently by herself with this person, or are select board members coming along with her? So that's old police station biz. I have a question, another question about what's now classified as other business. We used to do old business and new business. Are we changing gears on that? I want some clarity around that. And lastly, my third comment would be, what does the commission know about 2 Washburn Lane? Any updates since we passed our motion at the public hearing? So there are 3 points. So first, old police station. What was that committee exactly that they formed? What about old or new business? And what about Washburn Lane? So Chair, that's, I suppose, up to you if you know that.
Okay, I'm going to recognize Sue for clarity on the motion that was made by the select board, although I did watch the video and I concur that that's what I heard them say.
And the advisory committee is charged with crafting the warrant article for the sale of the building. But that doesn't mean, because it's not written in stone, I mean, they can certainly take that to town meeting, but that doesn't mean, as you said, it doesn't mean that town meeting is going to agree with it. And the finance committee will, I suspect, will vote on the side of not selling a town asset. But at the same token, I think we need to be, and by we, I mean the subcommittee needs to be prepared to provide alternative options. And that's why the structural engineer is going in there, not because the select board thought it was a good idea, but it was because that's the direction we started moving in until they created this twist in direction and decided, oh, no, I'm sorry, we don't really need an environmental assessment or a structural assessment, but I'm just moving it forward like I didn't hear what they said.
I see,
so to
understand,
speak.
thank you, okay.
As far as the other business, I think that was just something that was overlooked. Do you have the second agenda that I printed out that you borrowed?
Yeah.
Thank you. I did have it as other business there, but in my, not research, but when I was looking back at what I need to do in the future to tighten things up, I did make note of that exact wording and the fact that that needs to be changed. I don't know if I have it with me, if I left it, but new business, old business is the way it will read from going forward.
And then lastly, 2 Washburn, anybody have any updates on that?
2 Washburn, no, it's on my mind, and I had it on my list of things that I want to discuss at the next meeting, and whether we should form a subcommittee to work with him, or what else we can do to provide examples of buildings that have been modified and used happily by the next generation who wants all the modern conveniences. So I'm gonna put that on the agenda for next meeting. The other 2 items that I intend to put on the next meeting's agenda will be Form Bs again. I know that you've decided that you did not want to tackle that, and I'm inclined to maybe take that on. And also, I would like us to discuss the status of our list of significant buildings and whether that needs updating, and how that's presented or kept track of, et cetera. Because I think that's kind of at loose ends at the moment.
Chairman, may I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting for the evening?
Is there any other business that we need to?
I think that somebody should make a motion about the representative to the advisory committee, because I'm sure that'll be the first question the select board will ask.
Okay, that needs to be voted on and not just an appointment?
Correct.
Okay. Somebody like to make a motion to appoint Sue as our representative to the?
I make a motion that we select Sue as our
Representative.
representative to
To
the police
Advisory.
advisory board.
Thank you.
And a second.
Seconded. Thank you. All in favor?
All right,
I have some discussion,
Is there any debate?
yes.
Yes.
I'd like to add to that motion that that our representative report to us at our monthly meetings on the progress of those committees, of that committee.
Okay.
all in favor?
So is that an amendment now?
Yep.
Our first, right out of the gate. But you're the secretary and you've got it this one time.
She should get a recommendation for all her
So
efforts too.
Chair, we vote on this Bob's amendment, right? Because
Yes,
it was-
I'm
nothing
just,
was
I'm waiting for
withdrawn.
her to catch up. So that, but then this is precisely why. Okay, so now we're voting on Bob's made an amendment, and that needs to be seconded.
Oh, I'd second that, certainly, sure.
Okay, so now we're voting on the amendment that requires Sue to report back to us after advisory committee
Seconded.
meetings. All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Okay, so the motion to appoint has passed, and the amendment has also passed. Is there any other business? There being none, now you may make that motion you were about to make.
which one's that? Oh, make a motion that Sue should have some
No, adjourn.
No, to
adjourn. Oh, sorry. I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting for this evening and take up,
That's good.
Thank you.
take up any
I'll
That's it,
I'll
that's
second
it.
it. I'll
Just
second that.
adjourn. Second, all
I
in
second
favor?
Aye.